The preliminary report into the Air India plane crash, which killed 260 people, has found the fuel control switches of the Boeing 787 Dreamliner were moved to a cut-off position moments before the crash, which would usually turn off the engines.
On a clear day in Ahmedabad, Air India Flight 171 lifted off the runway like any other routine departure. Minutes later, it was gone, 260 lives lost, and one of the most advanced passenger jets in the world reduced to twisted wreckage. Almost instantly, the internet became a breeding ground for theories. Some pointed to technical malfunctions, failed flaps, crippled engines, or hidden mechanical defects. Others leaned toward darker possibilities: pilot sabotage, cyber attacks, even elaborate insurance cover-ups. Some of these ideas were rooted in genuine aviation questions, while others were pure fiction. Some so elaborate they were AI-generated hoaxes. But when the preliminary report dropped, it revealed a detail that stunned investigators. The Boeing 787's fuel control switches had been moved to cutoff just moments after takeoff, a position that would shut down both engines almost instantly. Today, we're going to break down every major theory, from the earliest rumors to the official findings, and separate fact from fabrication. We'll go step by step through cockpit recordings, flight data logs, CCTV footage, and investigative reports to piece together what really happened to Flight 171. Because in a sea of speculation, only one question matters: was this a tragic accident or the result of something far more disturbing? When Air India Flight 171 tragically went down, online theories exploded almost immediately. One of the first ideas that caught everyone's attention focused on the aircraft's flaps. Rumors suggested the crew might have failed to set them correctly for takeoff, causing inadequate lift and making the plane impossible to control moments after leaving the runway. But that theory quickly fell apart once the preliminary investigation revealed hard evidence. According to the official report, the Boeing 787's flaps were correctly positioned at flaps 5, a standard and safe setting for takeoff. In fact, missing such a crucial step would have triggered multiple warnings, digital checklists, and automated systems that Boeing put in place specifically to prevent these kinds of errors. Not only that, but careful analysis of flight recorder data proved conclusively that the flaps had been configured properly. CCTV footage even showed the plane lifting off normally, ruling out this scenario entirely. With the flaps theory debunked, attention shifted elsewhere. If it wasn't pilot error with flap settings, then what could have caused a perfectly modern airplane to fall out of the sky? And that's when theories around engine failure began to emerge. With flaps ruled out, speculation shifted immediately to the aircraft's engines. Early videos surfaced online, capturing a distinct buzzing noise moments before the plane lost altitude, prompting aviation experts to suspect the deployment of the aircraft's ram air turbine, or RAT. This small emergency turbine automatically drops down in situations involving total electrical or dual engine failures, raising alarming possibilities. Soon, the official preliminary report confirmed the RAT had indeed activated seconds after takeoff. But this revelation only deepened the mystery. Simultaneous dual-engine failures are extraordinarily rare, almost unheard of, especially in a technologically advanced aircraft like the Boeing 787. Investigators quickly eliminated external causes like bird strikes or debris, as no environmental factors matched the scenario, but something was still missing from the puzzle. In cases of dual-engine failure, pilots typically experience a noticeable yaw or sideways drift, because one engine usually fails slightly before the other. Interestingly, none of the CCTV footage from Flight 171's tragic final moments showed clear signs of this sideways motion. Here's where the Dreamliner's sophisticated automation complicates things. The Boeing 787's advanced fly-by-wire system is designed to automatically compensate for engine asymmetry by adjusting rudder inputs in real time, effectively masking signs of trouble from both pilots and observers on the ground. In other words, it could silently hide critical clues until it was too late. This technological sophistication, intended to enhance safety, may have unintentionally concealed an underlying problem, leaving investigators and the world searching for answers. But even engine failure didn't fully explain what happened next, as yet another baffling detail emerged from the footage. With engine failure theories leaving unanswered questions, attention soon shifted toward another puzzling detail, something unusual about the landing gear. In multiple videos circulating online, aviation experts noticed a strange anomaly. The main landing gear bogies appeared rotated slightly, a position normally seen only during gear retraction. Yet, according to official preliminary reports, the gear lever in the cockpit was clearly set to the down and locked position throughout the flight's brief and tragic climb. This raised immediate questions. Had the gear started retracting unintentionally, or was this simply a visual illusion caused by video angles and low resolution? Boeing's 787 is packed with automated systems capable of initiating subtle movements without direct pilot input under specific conditions, such as detecting weight off wheels shortly after liftoff. Could this automation have triggered partial gear rotation without pilots even noticing? So far, investigators haven't found any evidence confirming that gear retraction was initiated, either manually or automatically. The preliminary report remains silent on this critical detail, leaving the rotated gear bogies unexplained. And while this mystery alone might not fully explain the tragedy, it adds another unsettling layer of uncertainty. But these early speculations, from flaps to engines to gear issues, still didn't explain the chilling discovery that would soon change the entire investigation: the fuel control switches found inexplicably set to cut off mid-flight. The investigation took a dramatic turn when a chilling detail emerged from the preliminary report. Both fuel control switches on Air India Flight 171 were found in the cutoff position moments after takeoff. This wasn't just unusual, it was nearly impossible. On a Boeing 787, these switches are deliberately designed to prevent accidental activation. To move them from run to cutoff, a pilot must physically lift and pull each lever through a detent, a multi-step motion that can't happen by mere chance or casual contact. Adding another troubling layer, a 2018 FAA advisory had warned that some Boeing aircraft were equipped with faulty fuel switch locking mechanisms. Boeing, however, never mandated inspections for the 787 fleet, nor did Air India voluntarily perform these checks, leaving a dangerous gap unaddressed. Captain Steve, a senior aviation analyst, publicly stated, "There's never been a recorded instance of these switches spontaneously shifting mid-flight. It requires intentional effort." This raised the alarming possibility that either the switches failed catastrophically or were deliberately moved. Even more concerning, no cockpit alerts or secondary warnings would notify pilots if these critical switches were inadvertently or deliberately flipped. Boeing's failure to provide redundant safety measures meant Flight 171 had mere seconds before losing engine thrust and altitude. But if these switches required deliberate movement, who or what moved them? This unsettling revelation quickly led to theories far darker than simple mechanical failures, shifting the investigation toward disturbing speculations about pilot intent. Once it became clear that the fuel switches couldn't have flipped themselves, speculation quickly turned dark, focusing on the possibility that one of the pilots intentionally caused the crash. Media outlets seized on rumors claiming Captain Sumit Subharwal was struggling emotionally following a recent divorce, suggesting he deliberately shut off the engines in midair. This theory spread rapidly, fueled by interviews and televised appearances from aviation analysts. Captain Mohan Rowan even publicly speculated that cockpit voice recordings hinted at deliberate actions by a crew member, setting off a media frenzy. Yet when investigators examined the evidence carefully, nothing supported these shocking claims. No suicide notes or disturbing cockpit recordings surfaced, and the pilots' medical records showed they were physically and mentally fit. Both pilots had passed rigorous health checks and breathalyzer tests just hours before departure, leaving no red flags. Moreover, pilot unions around the world immediately condemned these premature accusations, calling them reckless and irresponsible. They warned that shifting blame onto a deceased crew member without concrete proof wasn't just disrespectful, it dangerously distracted from identifying the real cause. With no solid evidence to support suicide, the theory quickly started losing credibility. When pilot sabotage theories faltered, another unsettling question emerged. Could Flight 171 have been deliberately brought down by remote interference? Given the Boeing 787's advanced fly-by-wire design, many wondered whether digital sabotage was possible. Rumors quickly circulated online, pointing out past warnings from cybersecurity experts. Back in 2015, the U.S. Government Accountability Office had openly expressed concerns about aircraft vulnerabilities, especially for planes connected digitally via satellite communications and in-flight entertainment systems. The fear was that hackers could exploit these connections to manipulate flight controls, but detailed scrutiny soon discredited this theory, at least in the case of Flight 171. The official investigation confirmed that the fuel control switches, critical to the engine shutting down, had physically moved. No hacker could remotely flip physical cockpit switches. Cyber attacks typically impact software or digital data, not manual levers that require physical force. Additionally, investigators found no evidence of unauthorized access, breaches, or anomalies in the aircraft's software or satellite links. Without signs of digital intrusion or manipulation, the cyber attack theory rapidly lost credibility. But if neither pilot intent nor external sabotage explained the catastrophe, investigators faced another difficult question. Could something inside the plane itself, a hidden flaw or secret malfunction, be responsible for one of aviation's worst tragedies? As investigators continued their search for answers, theories turned toward the cargo and environmental conditions on the day of the crash. Initial speculation suggested the aircraft might have been secretly carrying hazardous materials, something dangerous enough to disrupt its critical systems. Yet detailed scrutiny of the flight manifest quickly dismissed these claims. No dangerous goods were on board Flight 171, and all cargo was well within approved limits. Next came rumors focusing on environmental factors. Given the unusually high temperature on the day of the incident, nearly 37 degrees Celsius or 99 degrees Fahrenheit, some experts suggested the crash could have been linked to density altitude, potentially impacting takeoff performance. But this theory also fell apart. CCTV footage and flight recorder data proved the aircraft lifted off normally, clearly airborne long before the end of the runway. Then, a highly technical rumor emerged online. Moisture had allegedly infiltrated the aircraft's electronic systems during heavy rainfall before departure, triggering catastrophic electrical faults in flight. This detailed narrative cited a so-called leaked insider memo, claiming engineers knew about the fault, but ignored it. Yet, when journalists examined this supposed memo, they discovered something shocking. It was entirely AI-generated misinformation. Official weather records confirmed no rainfall in the area for at least 2 days before departure. As each external theory dissolved under scrutiny, attention shifted back to the only remaining possibility, unsettling prospect that something had gone catastrophically wrong within Boeing's own systems or software, hidden from view until tragedy struck. As every other theory faded away, investigators were forced to confront an uncomfortable possibility. The source of the tragedy might lie deep within Boeing itself. This wasn't a random suspicion. Boeing's recent history reveals a troubling pattern, a culture where safety sometimes took a back seat to profit margins, deadlines, and reputation. Remember, Boeing's disastrous 737 MAX crashes exposed severe flaws in their safety oversight and software systems. Engineers were pressured into silence, whistleblowers faced retaliation, and critical safety concerns were ignored until tragedy struck. This troubling corporate culture didn't simply vanish afterward. It lingered, potentially affecting Boeing's newer aircraft, including the Dreamliner involved in Flight 171. Even more disturbing, recent reports revealed troubling production shortcuts and software glitches affecting Boeing aircraft. Whistleblower Sam Salaper testified before Congress about hidden structural defects in Dreamliner fuselages, raising alarms about long-term safety. Another Boeing whistleblower, John Barnett, who exposed effective quality controls, was tragically found dead, officially ruled a suicide, yet suspiciously timed amid lawsuits against the company. Now investigators face the grim possibility that internal system errors or corrupted software signals on the 787 might have misinterpreted cockpit commands, turning safe flight controls into deadly traps. Could Boeing's flawed designs have caused Flight 171's engines to shut down mid-flight? And could corporate influence obscure the truth once again? When billions of dollars and corporate reputations hang in the balance, facts often become negotiable, and truth can get buried beneath layers of influence. Now, the aviation world waits anxiously, wondering if the final investigative report will expose the full story, or if powerful interests will keep it hidden forever. But what do you think happened to Air India Flight 171? Was this a tragic accident, corporate negligence, or something even more sinister? Comment your thoughts down below. And if you found this investigation eye-opening, subscribe right now for more deep dives into aviation's biggest mysteries.